The government to inject a stimulus package into the economy. This on the back of lackluster growth and continually high unemployment levels, particularly among the youth. President Cyril Ramaphosa has indicated that indeed work is being done to put a package together. But what can we expect it to entail? And with the country's fragile fiscal situation, where will the money come from? Well, to share the ANC's thinking on this matter, I'm joined in studio by Phelisa Nkomo. She's from the ANC's communications team. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
So the ANC seems to be pushing for quite a holistic approach to our current problems, which covers a whole lot of areas, public infrastructure, investment and so on. So just tell us what the main focus seems to be.
Yes. I think the starting point is that the ANC shares the concerns of ordinary citizens currently, those who are unemployed and particularly young people, but as well as families who go to bed without food because they've lost their jobs, and meaning that the labour market has been shrinking. So in essence, that's why it actually had to say, to government, you need to develop a stimulus that ensures that it creates a safety net for ordinary South Africans. So the stimulus looks at several issues. I think the first one is around investment, public infrastructure investment. So you would know that in terms of the economic theory is that if a state spends money on public investment, it actually creates a demand in the economy. And the demand with multiply effects, I think the starting point is if bridges are built, it means that you create a demand in terms of the primary input, so that you stimulate the manufacturing sector, but also you create jobs as well. But also fundamentally it means that there's a circulation of money and income within the economy. So that's the biggest focus for the ANC, because we've not been spending very well in the last few years. And then the second component is that youth is a huge issue. I mean, we know that more than 50% of young people are actually sitting at home, and one of the key focuses there is to look at the funding that is existing within cities and look at how is that distributed and allocated in terms of skills training. Now you'd know that there's always an issue around structural constraints on skills mismatch, and that what the economy is demanding versus what are the skills that are actually available in the economy. And I think one of the key issues is to look at what type of massive training that we want to focus in to ensure that younger people get back into labour market. But at the same time, because also you would want to build an economy where people are absorbed by labour market, but at the same time where they have choices about where they want to be. One of the things that they could be entrepreneur. While I was driving here, in fact, I had a young person who called on radio and who was saying, I have tax qualifications, I'm an auditor by qualifications, and I can't get a job. And I think there's a very clear opportunity for that young person, and all they need to do is to be able to provide an ecosystem that allows them to be able to actually become an entrepreneur. They can become a tax consultant. So there's a huge opportunity there, but it's only such that other issues around access to information. And then the third component that the ANC stimulus looks at the support for small businesses, township and in rural areas. So you would know that, the issue around township economy, I just heard you earlier now when you were reading the news around the Somalian issue. So that's a huge issue, because you have a lot of more than 5 million people who lead unproductive life in those areas. So the ANC says you need to stimulate economy in those areas. You must use public procurement as an instrument to support communities within townships and rural economy. So, and I think there's another industrial component, perhaps that's the last point, is to look at how do we, from an industrial perspective, allocate resources on IDZs, which is industrial development zones, to allow young people to be innovative, but at the same time to stimulate both the domestic demand and as well as export markets.
So one of the issues that I posed in my introduction, Phelisa, is the issue of our fiscal sensitivities right now. Where does the ANC hope that the money will come from, and what sort of quantum are we talking about, and hopefully will it be budget neutral, and how soon will this be injected?
Well, I might not be exactly say from the budget in terms of the cost to GDP, but the key issue though is that there are several policy instruments that government always has when you want to stimulate the economy, because I think one of the things that the ANC wants to avoid is reprioritization, because if you reprioritize, so you shift money from one thing into another, so what happens to the other one where you've actually so I think the trade-off approach is not probably what we're looking for, because if the economy is growing at less than 2% exact, because it means that you have to provide a safety net to everyone. So there are several things. I think the first issue is that we need to start having an engagement with the private sector, because you might be aware that the private sector has been involved in an investment strike in the last 2 years. So they're sitting with capital reserves that they're not investing back in the economy. So the ANC believes that that's the type of cash we need to tap in, capital, but also that type of capital, the conversation must be that where do we allocate the resources? So we don't want to allocate the resources in building new malls or in building consumption-based economy.
But private sector wants policy certainty.
Absolutely. In fact, one of the reasons why President Ramaphosa is actually saying they're working on different solutions, because part of it is that what type of solution at a sectoral level that you actually require from a policy certainty perspective. And then the second instrument that exists, it's around investment, right? We have our Public Investment Corporation, which is sitting also with other reserves. So we need to really think about what is it that we do with our pension fund investments and how do we reallocate. I think the third component from a policy perspective, you always have one instrument which is called monetary policy. Monetary policy is one of the biggest in terms of the opportunity. And the issue is it's around, you can reduce interest rate to stimulate growth internal, because in essence, once you reduce interest rate, you grant an opportunity for sector, because there's an inverse relationship between investment and interest rate. So for sectors to start being able to have access to income and to capital and reinvesting. But at the same time, it means that you cushion middle-class family and working-class families, that they will have an additional income at household level. But fundamentally, you also increase the purchasing power of the rand, in that people are able to buy additional goods. So you have several instruments that are disposable to the state. So depending on what they believe would be the priority, but the pressure would be that they can use either expansionary fiscal policy or expansionary monetary policy.
Okay, thanks very much, Phelisa. We're going to leave it there. Whatever is decided, let's hope it happens soon, as the economy is struggling somewhat. That was Phelisa Nkomo. She's from the ANC Communications Office.